Okay, so in this video we're looking at an introduction really to what the cosine rule is, and I've just had to re-record this because I got a few minutes in, or quite a few minutes in, and my fire alarm went off, and it was pretty terrifying actually. It was really loud, so I had to. Anyway, it's sorted. No drama, just had to sort it all out, but it was unfortunate timing. Yeah. Okay, so the cosine rule. This is very similar to it's similar to the sine rule in the sense that it's all to do with finding missing angles and sides again in non-right angle triangles. And to be honest, it's basically just plugging numbers into a formula again. But what is really important here is that we can identify whether to use either the cosine rule or the sine rule or trigonometry or Pythagoras. So the important thing here is remembering how to label up your triangles. That's the key thing with all of this. Because actually, really, applying the cosine rule, as you saw in class, isn't that tricky. But it's knowing when to use it, which is really important. So just to recap really quickly, right? Just to recap on the sine rule again, we've already been looking at the sine rule in class to find missing sides and angles in non-right angle triangles. So, for example, this stuff here, and it's really important, you use the sine rule when you're given two pairs of opposite sides and angles. So you can see that here. Okay, two pairs of opposite sides and angles. That is the sine rule. And this is when you use the sine rule, which is important. Today, we're looking at the cosine rule, and this video is just looking at finding missing sides. I've got here missing sides and angles. That's what we did in class. But basically, right, you can use the cosine rule to find missing sides and angles in non-right angle triangles, which is the same sort of thing to the sine rule. So this is very important. We can use the cosine rule, first of all, to find missing sides, but we can only find missing sides when you've got a triangle that looks like this, which is basically you've got an angle, you've got two sides that are, you could say adjacent or just think of it as next to the angle, and then you've got your missing side opposite that angle there. So you've got to recognize this kind of triangle. An angle with two sides next to the angle with a side opposite you're trying to find. That is when you can use the cosine rule, which is different to the sine rule, which is two pairs of opposite sides and angles, which is important to bear in mind. And if you want to find a missing angle, this one's quite easy to memorize. You just need to know that you've got a triangle with three sides given to you. Then you can look at missing angles, but that's for the next video. We're just focusing on this kind of triangle for this video. Okay, cosine rule, you need to know this triangle. Recognize it. So what actually is the cosine rule? Again, we saw this before with the sine rule. This is just how you label up your triangle, which hopefully is making a bit of sense. You've got your three sides, A, B, and C, where A, B, and C are your lowercase letters, and then your angles opposite are capital. So capital A opposite A there, capital B opposite B, C opposite C. That's important. These are opposite sides and angles. So what actually is the cosine rule? The cosine rule is here. This is to find sides using the cosine rule. So a squared is b squared is c squared, take away 2bc cos of the angle A. And this formula here is given to you in the formula booklet, which is really nice. However, and this is what we're just considering for this video, but to find angles, you need to basically rearrange this, which I'm not going to go through right now, but you could rearrange this to get cos A to be the subject, and you can find angles by, using this. This one here, you need to basically memorize. It's not given to you. You could derive it. I'm not going to go through it now. You could rearrange it. That will be another video, or we'll just go through it in class. But basically, right, that one's given to you. This one, you need to learn, memorize, which is very important. Let's get into using the cosine rule. Okay, so yeah, again, this video, we're just looking at finding sides. Next video, we'll be looking at finding angles. Let's get into it. And again, really important, you can only use the cosine rule when you're given an angle and two sides adjacent or next to the angle. That is very important. Okay, so here, I want to go and find the missing side length x, and like with the sine rule or trigonometry or Pythagoras, labeling your triangle is very important. I'm trying to find this side here, x. Let's go and call that side there A. So that's going to be lowercase a, it's your side. Your angle opposite A, okay, again, is going to be capital A. That's really important. That's going to write it up here. So again, opposites, you use your lowercase and uppercase. Lowercase a always for sides. These two are going to be lowercase b and lowercase c, and they can go either way around. So that could be b and that could be c. It doesn't matter. As long as you've got lowercase a and capital A here, b and c doesn't matter. Once you've labeled up your triangle, it's just a case of substitution into your formula. So we've got a squared, where a is x, so we've got x squared is equal to b squared, where b is 8, so 8 squared, add c squared, where c is 6 squared, that's really unneat, sorry, add 6 squared, take away, and this means 2 times b times c times cos a. So we've got take away, and important we use brackets here, take away 2, b, where b is 8, so 2 times 8 times by c, where c is 6, cos of the angle a, which is your angle there, a is 88, so cos 88. And then, to be honest, right, what you need to go and do from here is just plug this here into your calculator. So if you put basically this bit here into your calculator, if you've got a good Casio calculator, you can just do it in one step. If you've got a dodgy calculator, it becomes a bit of a nightmare. So you need to have a good calculator for this, really. So x squared is going to be equal to, and then just plug this here into your calculator. And if you follow along as I say it, you won't get a maths error. So just type in 8 squared without pressing equals, just go keep it in one go. 8 squared, add 6 squared, take away 2, you must put then bracket 8, bracket 6, so that's 2 times 8 times 6, and then you can just go and write cos 88 and then press equals, and you should get 96.64964, so on, so forth. But what's really important here is that you don't round too early. That's not my final answer. I've got x squared. I want to go and find x. I've got to go and square root this number here. If you round too early, you might get a mistake in your answer. So just keep quite a few decimal places until the end. 64964, good. And if I go and square root that, okay, if I go and press square root answer, I get 9.8 centimeters to 1 decimal place. Okay, and that there is my answer. Okay, 9.8, which is good. So you can go try this your turn, and then there'll be 2 more examples that you can try, and that's going to be it for this video. So pause the video and give that one there a go. Your turn, very similar formats. The most important thing is you label up your triangle to begin with. So hopefully you've had a go at that, and you can go through it with me now. We're trying to find this missing side here, which is E. Go and call that side A, because that's what you're trying to find. So call that A. Your angle opposite it is going to be capital A, so that's capital A. Your 2 shorter sides, not short sides necessarily, sorry, your 2 other sides, not necessarily shorter, are B and C, and they can go either way around, doesn't matter. And then we're just putting it into our formula. So you've got A squared again, where A is E, so E squared is equal to B squared plus C squared, where B is 11, so 11 squared. Add C squared, where C is 15, so 15 squared, minus 2 times B, where B is 11, times C, where C is 15, cos of the angle A, which is 32. Good, there we go. And then go and plug this into your calculator. So go and type this in really carefully into your Casio, hopefully. So E squared is going to be equal to, and go and plug this in. So 11 squared, add 15 squared, take away 2 times 11 times 15, cos 32. I can't stress enough, year 11, if you've got a good calculator, this becomes pretty straightforward, really, because, you know, you're just typing things in. 1, 4, 4, 1, 2, 8. Use a few, don't round too early, because you've got E squared there. That's not your answer. You want to go and find E. So again, you've got to go and square root your answer. What you can do here is, you can then, on your calculator, you've got your answer. If you go and press on, and then press square root answer, so you'll see on your calculator, you will have this button here that says answer. It will memorize that answer there and put it in. Okay, but if that's too much for the time being, let's go and write it in. So square root of 66.144128, and that's going to be equal to 8.1 centimeters to 1 decimal place. If you got that, then good work. Okay, really good. Okay, moving on. So 2 questions here, very similar formats. You can pause the video, give those a go, and look, if you can do these, you've got the basic grasp of the cosine rule for finding sides. It does get a bit trickier. Well, I mean, that is the cosine rule. That is it. But it gets trickier, as you saw in class, because you start putting together triangles, you put it in exam questions. But really, right, this is the basic understanding of it, which is important. Anyway, give those a go. You can rewind to the end, fast forward to the end, sorry, and then you can mark your answers. If you're not sure what to do, you can go through with me and work at your own pace, which is the power of YouTube. Okay, find x. Again, you need to label up that side x, A, because that's what you're trying to find. So that's going to call that lowercase a. Angle opposite is going to be capital A, so that's going to call that there capital A. Your 2 sides, you can go and call B and C in either order. And then it's just a case of substituting into your formula. So A squared, where A is x, so x squared is equal to b squared is c squared, where b is 10, c is 8, so 10 squared, add 8 squared, minus 2 times b, where b is 10, times c, and again I'm using brackets here, where c is 8, cos of the angle 60, so cos of the angle 60. And again, just go and plug this into your Casio, and that's going to be good. So x squared is equal to, I'm going to type this in really carefully, 10 squared, add 8 squared, minus 2 times 10 times 8 cos of the angle 60. You should get 84. Okay, you get a whole number because, actually interesting, right, the reason you get a whole number there, which you might be thinking that's a bit unusual, well, cos 60 is an exact trig value. Cos 60 is actually equal to a half. So that's quite a nice one. So basically you're doing 2 times 10 is 20 times 8 is 200. Timesing it by half is 100 in this case, just to note that. Okay, that is an exact trig value. Anyway, x squared is 84. That's not the value of x though. To find x, you've got to go and square root 84, which will give you a decimal, which is going to be equal to 9.2 if you round it to 1 decimal place. So 9.2 centimeters to 1 decimal place. If you got that, good work on the first one. Second one, very similar format. You want to find x. Okay, again, go and label that up A. Your angle opposite is going to be capital A. These two sides here, go and call them B and C in any order. Lowercase b, lowercase c. And it could be either way around. That could be B and that could be C. Makes no difference. And then just plugging into your formula. So you've got a squared where a is x. So x squared is equal to b squared where b is 20. So 20 squared. Add c squared where c is 15. So 15 squared. Take away 2 times b times c. So b is 20. C is 15. Cos of the angle A, where A is equal to 120 degrees. And then good, it's just a case of putting this into your Casio, hopefully, or just your calculator. I keep saying Casio just because I think they're really good. They're really easy to use. But x squared is equal to, I'm going to type that in, again really carefully, not rushing it, 20 squared, 15 squared, take away 2 times 20 times 15, cos of the angle 120. There we go. And we get 925, which is quite large, but that makes sense because here our sides are quite long. You've got 20 and 15. We're not finished though, you've got to go and find x, so you've got to go and square root 925. Again, what you can do here on your calculator, if you just go and press on now, press square root and then answer, it will remember the answer 925, and there you're going to get 30.4 centimeters. I'm just going to go and check that. I'm sure it is okay, but I just want to double check just to be sure. 15 squared, take away 2 times 20 times 15, cos 120. Yeah, good. That is all good. 5 root 37, 30.4. Good. To 1 decimal place. And that there is our answer. Okay, hopefully that was useful. Again, in year 11, just producing some really good work in class. I'm really, really happy. You're doing really well, and keep it up. Hopefully these videos are useful, and hopefully the sound is much better. I think it is much better, which is good. Okay, thank you.